Now we're live. Hello and welcome to
Hey.
AEW Weekly. I'm taking over from Jerry because we had a misstart there. My name is Mark Bryan at Wrestling Mobs. I'm joined by the one and the only Jerry Rush down in the deep dark depths of Cork. Jerry, how are you getting on today, my friend?
How's it going, boy? How are you keeping?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good
My
boy,
family
good
from
boy.
Cork. I know how to do it. I can play that game as well.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
thank you very, very much to everybody joining us across BodySlam, IrishWrestling.net, and numerous different platforms. We are the Irish Wrestling Podcast, and as always, we're talking once a week about AEW Weekly, as I am AEW's resident Mark here in the island of Ireland. I'm joined by my intelligent, well-informed friend Jerry, who has an open mind to these things, watches all wrestling, unlike many people on the island of Ireland. He's very kindly agreed to join me on a weekly basis as we discuss all things wrestling, and he'll be taking over from this point forward and dictating our conversation. Jerry, thank you very much.
Very kindly past my bedtime, but I don't mind. I don't mind talking about wrestling after dark. I'm not going to take bully racing but definitely after dark. Yeah. So it's it was been a hell of a week for AEW. Hell of a week for some gossip news if you're into that kind of stuff. We talked about it last week, and you kind of had the scoop last week before all the so-called dirt sheets decided to say they had the scoop on what happened backstage with Britt Baker and MJF and all the ongoings that went on this week. So, AEW had a chance to bounce back from, a bit of drama. People may call it as negativity towards the company, or it was just backstage drama. It happens in every company, any job, any walk of life, just happens to be in the public eye regarding AEW, regarding what happened with them. So they kind of brushed past it on this week's episode of Dynamite and moved on. Thankfully, they didn't, dwell on it too much, and people didn't talk about it afterwards. So what's the update on that now? Have you heard anything extra since then? Have they, backstage, have they moved on? Are they?
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, I think most people, like anything in AEW, somebody outside of AEW, they get wind of something and they'll do their best to absolutely embellish it, because that's what drives most clicks on the internet. People who are pro one company over another, and they're very much in the game of getting as much revenue or clicks or likes. Negative AEW headlines generate the most talking points online, which is what they do it for. So people get wind of one small thing and they'll suddenly dive head first in towards it. Like on various different Discord channels, you'll find people who say, like, how can somebody get away with punching a wall without really understanding the details? And people make assumptions talking about, like, oh, somebody burst into a dressing room, but nobody burst into a dressing room. Nobody punched a wall in the dressing room. There's been a very thorough breakdown from Ibu of WrestlePurist, a lovely guy, over the last few days, where he went out of his way to explain what actually happened in terms of there's an altercation, but afterwards MJF went miles down a corridor and punched a wall. That is not a suspendable offense. The people who are dictating otherwise may be fair enough, but there's also a disciplinary committee, which is not just Bryan Danielson, as people may think. There's HR professionals and legal professionals involved in these things. And take it out of the hands of the likes of Koshe Irby or Tony Khan to dictate what happens in these matters. So a 1 week suspension doesn't seem like the biggest thing in the world. And even if it was a suspension the day after she got suspended, she still appeared at the San Diego Comic-Con, where she did that angle with Mercedes Moné. So, I mean, what was lost in the end? Nothing. If nobody had leaked it out, nobody would have known. It would have been, the show would have carried on as always. But like anything that comes somewhat negative regarding AEW, it gets embellished by people who live online internally, people who don't go outside, and people who like to just argue for a living online, which seems to be the vast swath of people who live online on Twitter and the wrestling community. So
what else is there to do online?
Like anything with AEW, though, you watch a show on a Wednesday, you leave it thinking this is brilliant. Somebody leaks something on a Thursday or Friday. Your opinion of stuff goes down. Then you watch AEW again on a Wednesday, and you're like, what? And suddenly you're like, why did I even care? Why did I allow all this negative garbage affect my perception of what I enjoy? And it's a calculated effort by people, and it's something that's systemically been working for a long time. Because then you watch AEW last night, and you're like, fuck, this is brilliant. Like, why? Like, this bullshit online activity from people who've got nothing better to do with their lives, who literally do nothing all day long. Bar sit on Twitter. Just it ruins people's enjoyment of programs, and it drives people away from programs, because people are, I don't know, people are malleable and they take on other people's views and opinions. So yeah, it's all
for attention. It's just attention. It's all for attention.
I know. That's what everything is. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, thankfully they moved on from it. Before we get into what happened in Collision and Dynamite this week, we also talked about this last week, and we've been talking about it for a while regarding the news of Penta and and Ray Phoenix. It
Yeah.
seems that they're looking for a way out, or they're discussing.
Well, I mean, firstly, more than anything, the most alarming thing that nobody is talking about is that the likes of Sean Ross Sapp put out a Fightful Select scoop where he refused to call it what it was. They were contract tampering, where it made it very apparent that they had a very clear offer and concrete offer from WWE while under contract from AEW.
Which happens
they understand
a lot.
But like, it's something that's illegal. It's a crime, but given who say Fightful Select type people are, they're unwilling to label it for what it is, and it's hypocrisy. Whereas they'll do everything they can to drive the negative narrative about somebody who is probably at the end of their cycle with AEW, 5 years in. Like, people do need to rotate in these type of things, and you look at like Ray Phoenix and Penta. Have they done everything they could have done in AEW? No, but at the same time, does AEW need like to be freshened up? Generally speaking, yes. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's a shame for the tag team division more than anything. But again, there's so many other tag teams out there that I think, given the kind of landscape and the way AEW is pivoted to, would be better placed. So I think the willingness of people to talk about like doom and gloom for AEW with somebody leaving a company, but not being able to do it for calling it what it was, that they were contract tampered and they were tapped up while under contract and offered firm offers from a different company, and spoke to a different company while under contract with one company. Like that's why can't you call out both things? Why can't you say like, oh, it's terrible, like that they're leaving AEW, it's terrible for AEW, but at the same time, that's a pretty bad thing that they're doing over here. And it's the same reason why you're not going to, the people who are pro WWE are never going to talk about the fact that they're in a sexual harassment lawsuit with Janelle Grant, or they're talking about sex trafficking with Janelle Grant. It's hypocrisy. It's all about optics, and people don't have integrity by and large in the modern society. They do things to suit their own narrative and for the optical approval of certain people as well. And it's something that gets me very fed up. And it's something I moan about at length when we meet up in person. So the odd time when you do see people act with integrity in this space, I quite rightly try to give them kudos, because it's very, very rare and it's indicative of modern society. And you don't only have to look as far as the modern political environment across numerous different parts of the world, be it like Northern Ireland and the UK with what's going on over there, the kind of various mass riots of just complete misinformation that's just been spread like wildfire, and people not having that's all it is.
That's all it ever takes.
That's all
somebody to blame someone for something.
You look at what the political environment in America and stuff like, and it's not any different. People get told people who work in PR understand what they're doing. They understand perceptions, reality. It changes. So anyway,
that's the system, though. That's the way it works. It's like the political system is, I'm not comparing them to the wrestling system, but things are done a certain way, and people in the system understand that, and they don't want to rock the boat, and they just let things go, even though it's completely probably illegal and completely wrong to everybody else. They don't really care as long as they get their green at the end of the day, as long as their bank account is full and everybody else.
And what are these people doing at the end of the day? What do they actually do for a living? They spoil wrestling for people. That's you make your living by spoiling an escape for people. Do you know what I mean? That's literally what you do for money. Like, have a look at yourself. And then you're willing to follow agendas to suit your bank balance that one company might give you over another. Like, that's again hypocrisy. So but listen, the Penta and Phoenix piece, like, it's a shame. Like, that's what it felt like for me. Like, oh shit. But like, at the same time, you take a step back. Like, would a Grizzled Young Veterans or Motor City Machine Guns, would they fit in better in AEW than Ray Phoenix and Penta as a tag team currently? Yes. I think, just given that it's an American television product, that's what I think. And I'd love to see like Bandito fit and healthy featured in more often. I'd like to see Commander used more often. Obviously, they're going to be giving a huge platform to the Beast Mortos and Hologram. I don't want to see El Hijo del Kingo, because I think Phoenix and Penta are just 10 times the wrestler he'll ever be. But they have a huge plethora of big word for you, Jerry. Plethora of lucha libre based talents, luchadors, and they've got the likes of Roosh, who could be featured far more strongly going forward as well. It's the same as I felt when Andrade left. I was like, shit, like Andrade, because when Phoenix and Penta go, what are they going to do? They're going to go to WWE. One of them's
going to
going
be
to
in a faction with Andrade.
One's going to put in an LWO t-shirt on. One's going to put on a El Hijo del Fantasma t-shirt on. And then they're going to spend their time sitting in catering, not wrestling. They're going to end up like Dragon Lee. And I mean, they're independent contractors at the end of the day. Like, they're going to be heavily remunerated. But if you're given, for all intents and purposes, if they're told that like there's equitable offers from both parties, like you would hope that like people, they enjoy wrestling, talents enjoy wrestling for crowds, and me having that creative freedom and ability to actually wrestle and perform and kind of grow as you would in AEW. But anyway, listen, everybody's entitled to their own decisions. It's just a shame as a fan more than anything.
Oh yeah, sure. They're all adults at the end of the day. They chose their path, so if they want to go out there and make as much money as possible.
It's the same as when a footballer leaves your football club.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of feeling. Do you know what I
mean? But is it the same as like somebody from Celtic going to Rangers?
No. It's more like some fucking. Somebody says, like, I'm going to stay at Celtic for life, and then goes to the Premier League to Brighton or Southampton or some shithole. That's what it feels like. It's like when Victor Wanyama left, or Virgil van Dijk left, or Fraser Forster left, or when everybody leaves Celtic. But anyway, yeah, that's what it felt like.
Well, there was something out on Twitter there just as we went live that the Lucha Brothers have filed for a new trademark for new names. So I'm presuming that's going to hint at whatever they're planning to do in the future. Normally WWE does the trademarking, doesn't they? Normally.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a funny one because AAA own the name in Mexico, but because like Penta, he's El Zero M or Zero. He's Penta Zero Miedo in Mexico. AEW, he's Penta El Zero Miedo. So you have to have that small slight difference in America. AAA own that name. So when they appeared in CMLL a couple of weeks ago, I watched that. It was really good. Penta was called Lucha Brother, and Phoenix was called King, because they can't the AAA and CMLL name. Yeah. That's why Black Taurus has been changed to Beast Mortos.
Yeah.
AAA own the name. They don't own Black Taurus, but they own Taurus.
Yeah.
And they've been kind of kicking up a stink around names and whatnot, and but AAA is dying a death anyway. So it's and Conan feels slighted because his television's product and he is dying, and he keeps putting questionable people in his product. And AEW are deciding to distance themselves and lean more into a more equitable, holistic partnership with a conglomeration of companies as such. So, all these things play out, but I think it's just a shame. And there was something a while ago where, when Danny Garcia had this kind of write-off angle, with AEW, and the very same day, I think Fightful put out a story being like, "Oh no, like he's signed, he's definitely staying, like he's writing off, he's going to come back, and he might." But anybody watching that who was watched wrestling for a while, watching that angle get him tombstone off the second rope, like it's a fucking write-off. And then suddenly, like everybody now is talking about the hypothetical of him appearing in NXT. Like even the angle where it happened, like he was crying in the corner and the camera was too close, and Will Ospreay's like, "Kind of, well done, you come on, you can do it, let's get this done." Because he was upset. He looked like a guy who was upset and he was finishing up with AEW. Do you know what I mean? It was then people are now walking back their stories without admitting they're wrong. They're just changing the story around it. It's a fickle, funny place where people can't admit they're wrong.
They're never going to do that. Some people just don't want to admit they're wrong, and they'll just move on. They have so many stories out there that they'll just forget about it anyway. They probably forget they even said it.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully Danny Garcia isn't going anywhere, because I think he's if he came back, I think he'd just explode.
I don't really see him fitting into the WWE, as a big name. Like he'd just be,
Yeah, he'd be good in Chase University. I think that'd be a really good spot for him. I think that's really prestigious, isn't it?
Oh, well, like he's got.
I haven't seen the ranking of the university, but I'm sure it's very good.
I'm not sure what sort of qualifications you get after you graduate. Like,
maybe you could join Dallas and walk around in Celtic jerseys.
Yes.
Yeah.
not the first time somebody named Garcia walked in a Celtic jersey.
Or he can start doing stuff where they just constantly put TNA talent over instead of their own national television product talent.
I'll put Joe Hendry over anybody. I'd give him
he's different. He's Scottish. That's different.
Yeah.
he was doing that song before he joined TNA. So
he doesn't support Celtic, does he?
I think he's a Hibs fan.
Oh, is he? No.
Hibernian meaning Ireland.
Hibernian.
So there you are.
No. So, similar enough.
And we've been on a long-winded rant here now, but anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, get into we'll talk about Collision as well. But last night's episode of Dynamite opened up with MJF and Kyle Fletcher, and probably Kyle Fletcher's best match since he's been in AEW.
He's been a fair few. I don't know if it's his best, but he's maybe his most high profile. And I think it's a lot of the time when people say, "Oh, is somebody's their best match?" Like you got like nerdlingers in the corner, like me, like, well, actually, he's like, but
he got 4 stars. Though.
Yeah, exactly. But he's had tons of incredible matches as a singles competitor, and they'd be a singles competitor for a good portion of the foreseeable future. Unfortunately, Mark Davis has a neck injury. He injured it while rehabbing his wrist.
Oh,
so not wrestling related injury. It's quite serious, really, really bad neck injury. So, yeah, I mean, like a wrist injury, a broken wrist should have had him back in a couple of weeks. But yeah, what can you do? So no, he's 25 as well, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's crazy,
ridiculous. It was actually incredible performance. His emotion and the way he carried himself is outstanding. And having that kind of high profile candidate opponent and the tie-in with Will Ospreay and whatnot, it was absolutely brilliant. And obviously, us who've trained with him over here in OTT, or those of us who've kind of seen him in OTT and UK-based shows, it's absolutely amazing to see kind of how the skinny, lanky kid has kind of evolved into this beast of a fella.
He looks like Machine Gun Kelly with muscles.
Yeah, that's not a good thing though.
I know, yeah.
I was looking at him, I'm like, that haircut and those tattoos, there's nobody over the age of 30 who's ever gonna like support you. You're gonna be booed. Get a haircut. Get rid of those tattoos.
They said the crowd seemed to
shave those sideburns.
I thought I told you to shave those sideburns.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on what happened with Ospreay backstage? Are they playing something with Don Callis here for barricading him in, or is there somebody else involved in this? Or
I didn't even consider that. Probably was Don Callis. I assumed MJF. I don't know, some sort of crony.
Surely MJF isn't going to be aligning himself with Don Callis in the future at any stage.
No. Yeah, I just thought maybe he was just barricading Will Ospreay in to not allow him to come in so he can beat up Kyle Fletcher. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just, it's not something that needs to be explained as such. What did need to be explained was why Christopher Daniels was taken out 2 weeks ago by the Elite and then it was suddenly dropped. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mariah May and Viva Van. What do you know anything about this Viva Van person?
She's been featured on the US and European independent circuit for a while. She's very, very good. I think it was. I think given there was a hurricane going on and a limited talent availability, and quite often these spots they try to kind of use them as testing grounds for potential new hirings, particularly independent talents. So no, it was.
Was she a last minute call because of?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I think this was announced beforehand, so it's obviously something they've had in the plans for a while. They've obviously somebody like the fact that they announced the match like a day or two in advance. Obviously, they think reasonably high of her to the fact that they can think she's name valued enough to announce her, which is really cool. Which is good for, I suppose, like the shows how much AEW care about independent wrestling and independent wrestlers as opposed to the evil conglomeration.
She didn't get much in though. She was.
I know, but she was never. It seemed to be a repeat of what they did a couple of weeks ago, in my view. Where did they do it in Collision or Dynamite? One or the other. Where Mariah May squashes somebody, then Tony Storm does the wig thing, and then just. I'm gonna get you, and then they do the pull apart and stuff. It seems to be a rehash of that, which is kind of unfortunate given there's like 2 more episodes to go following this. So, of Dynamite,
can't be a good pull apart though, can you?
Don't like pull aparts.
I love pull aparts. I think they're a good way of putting a bit more emphasis on the feud. Like if people aren't getting into a feud, if people aren't invested in something and they have a pull apart.
Mariah May's battered Tony Storm. Why isn't Tony Storm getting a chance to? Why isn't she battered her backstage or something?
They keep stopping her. They keep stopping her from hitting her.
Or why doesn't she lay her out with a finishing move or something? Because like think back to Rock and Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania 17, one episode of SmackDown to be a stunner, the next to be a rock bottom. Do you know what I mean? Back and forth and building to a crescendo. So like there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think people have too much WWE in the brain where they do like contract signing, pull apart.
There's going to be a contract signing, right?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's cliched trope garbage. There's more than one way to do
it. I'm not a big fan of contract signings, but I do like a pull apart because
it's so overdone.
I know what it's overdone, and it was overdone on Dynamite. There was
not everything has to be formulaic and done because it's done. Do you know what I mean?
But it is they are formulating it because you can see where they're going. Is Tony's eventually going to get the upper hand, and probably their last Dynamite before All In.
Yeah,
which will probably lead then to Mariah May getting the win because Tony got the upper hand and stood tall and the go home show, and then she's going to get the win.
I figured this out when I was 7 years old watching WWE. Whoever got the upper hand last usually lost.
That's WWE book, and is that normally the AEW book? And do they normally do that?
It means there's a lot of people behind the scenes who used to be producers for WWE who are not capable of coming up with original finishes these days. There's so many run-ins, there's so many pull-aparts, same thing over and over, which is really annoying me. And these things, it ends because there's so much quality leading up to these points where there's something smaller. Like I've seen this, do it something different. Why does it have to be the same thing over and over again? Like, because you've got about 10 different producers back there who all used to work in WWE, and none of them were let go. They all left WWE by choice, which is just, I don't know. Anyway,
they got the fuckers.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into this in a bit. The Taco Bell bit. Do you see this Jack Perry video package?
Taco Bell?
Yeah, they aired this video package that Jack Perry's talking about.
Yeah, he's talking about television and he smashed the television. What's Taco Bell to do with it?
I don't know if it's on your fight. Did you watch it through Triller or Fight TV?
No, yeah.
Yeah, well, some of the feeds in North America last night, it was cut off by a Taco Bell commercial halfway through the video package, and then it cut back to the rest of the video package, so nobody knows exactly what I said. I think
he was talking about like being willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. It was kind of didn't really say a lot. It was pretty cool, pretty well done package. AEW, I think, do packages like those kind of promo packages better than anywhere at the minute. Just more often than not, they kind of just don't necessarily lead to anything. Like I remember a number of weeks ago they did some really cool ones for Roderick Strong, just kind of running through the mountains and stuff, and it was just so well shot. And then
I remember that.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, well, what now? Is this going to build something or not? But it doesn't. More often than not, it hasn't. So I thought it was really, really cool. And then Darby Allin went on a kind of a shoot ski kind of promo talking about like, well, you're not here, you're not at work. The Elite are never at work. The Young Bucks are never at work. They haven't defended their titles in 107 days, which is a fact.
Crazy.
All into a Bishop Con last night, but anyway, they never do any sort of promotional materials, never do radio interviews, never do TV interviews, never do any marketing spots whatsoever for AEW, despite being EVPs and being flown here, there, everywhere in a private jet. They're almost as if they're the bad guys all along. But anyway,
where are they?
Just not at work. Hangman Page goes on a 6-month sabbatical once a year.
Yeah, well, he needed a break.
Did he?
I think he did.
From what? Turning up to work twice a month?
From whatever he was doing, he needed to be refreshed up. Like he needed some time off TV.
He takes about 6 months off a year. Anyway,
is he still a school teacher?
No, he's not.
No, damn it.
But anyway, yes, the Darby Allin did a nice kind of skating promo, which kind of made it more serious. People were asking him, why didn't you light Jack Perry on fire? He never said like, well, because he'd be in jail for that. But anyway, it was a good promo. Darby Allin's awesome. And he's a good choice in people. Yes. Following that, then
learning Shibata and Bryan Keith.
Yeah, that was really well done. I really liked that. Nice short match. Bryan Keith, people give out about the Jericho universe and Vortex and all this kind of stuff, but like Name one person who's been worse off for having worked with Chris Jericho. Genuinely, for
Worse
being part
off.
of their faction. Yeah, genuinely. Like who hasn't been brought up to a level of like while they've been in it, like they actually haven't grown in awareness. The follow up in terms of the creative and stuff after they leave is different, but like when they're in it, like who hasn't been elevated?
Oh yeah, when you're in it, you're on TV with Jericho, like so you're always going to be in a high profile segment.
More often he does like some sort of blowaway angle where like they build up to something with somebody. Sorry, to kill them off there. Do some sort of blow angle, they do a match or whatever, but like it's not on him to do everybody's creative for the whole show.
No.
So sometimes when the ball gets dropped, it's just because the ball gets dropped by other people, and I don't blame him at all for that. So I mean,
not at all.
We're doing with Big Bill, and Brian Keith has been nothing short of excellent. I think the whole dynamic of the three of them was really good.
I enjoyed that they actually got their own interns coming out on commentary instead of just coming out with Brian Keith and supporting them. They come out in commentary and they come out to their own entrance.
Yeah, and poor Taz had to leave the commentary table again, which was very unfortunate. Yeah, he's very cranky, that man. And then Hook came out wearing an eye patch with a hat over his eye patch, which I thought was a weird look. But anyway, he was throwing left, right. He was looked like he was punching like he was doing a jazzercise, boxercise classic.
Maybe he was. Maybe he's getting back in the ring shape.
Go in, get into the cunt. But yeah, it was well done. It was a good angle. I mean, obviously now you're setting up for some sort of trios match, or you're setting up some sort of stadium stampede. I would imagine. I say you're gonna have.
And Jericho was happening, right? Are they going after that fucking FTW title again?
No, I say they'll do a stadium stampede at All In. I say they'll do Jericho, Brian Keith, Big Bill, Roderick Strong, and somebody else, Roosh maybe. And then I'll be against Shibata, Hook, and Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly.
Samoa Joe, is he due back anytime soon?
No, I think he's away doing a project or whatever.
You're not going to be there for All In?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, what?
I don't think so. So yeah, that's what I'm assuming it's going to go. In terms of a timeline and kind of who's doing what. So yeah.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy then had a backstage interview saying that the conglomeration obviously missed their flights or their flights were cancelled. They wouldn't be making it. So they had two local talents ready for his 6-man tag later on, which turned out to be FTR.
And Dax wore Bret Hart sunglasses, which was awesome.
He got them for his 40th birthday, did he?
Probably had them since he was 5. No, it's awesome. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Yeah, like it almost makes you feel good to see FTR back on Dynamite.
Yeah, it's been a while since they were on Dynamite.
Yeah, right? Like obviously when their Collision's 10 times better when they're on it. Like Dynamite's better when they're on Dynamite as well. The more they should be doing. Because they want to like build pillars for certain shows, and they're really focused on building. They were really focused on being the focal point of Dynamite, and like with when the way it was originally planned and whatnot, they kind of stayed the course. But like, I think obviously there's travel and logistics and people's families and what, but like where possible, I would love, and depending if hypothetically Collision moves to Thursday night, hypothetically, just putting it out there, might be happening. Move to Thursday. I love if they like on Thursday they cut their promos, or Wednesday they cut their promos. Thursday they have their match every week. So I don't want to. You miss them when they're not in ring cutting promos. You miss them when they're not having matches. When it's like when they're on a show and they're cutting a promo, they're like, oh, I want to see them in the match. And then when they see them in the match, like, oh, I want to hear them doing promos. That's what I want from FTR. I want the full whack and shebang on a weekly basis. And I want them with more tag teams, for God's sake. Give me more tag teams. This used to be the fucking pinnacle of tag teams. There's so many tag teams that were just buried by MJF and Adam Cole during that period that are just gone to the wayside, like the Kingdom and Dutch and Vincent and whatnot, who are reputable tag teams. Anyway.
What about the Acclaimed?
What do you reckon there was some sort of audio issue there, or what?
I'm presuming it would like.
Yeah, but it was. I think Dax was there to, even though he's panting with breath because he's come back from injury far too soon. He actually has, yeah. But he's smashing it in ring with a really bad back injury. But yeah, like quick as a flash, like, oh well, it's not just me in the crowd that don't want to hear you. Obviously, the production people don't want to hear you as well. Let's have a fight. Kind of, do you know what I mean? That pull apart was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, pull apart.
Because they didn't wait for them to go in the ring. I thought it was contrived. The lackeys were there already beforehand, and I like that when Cash Wheeler shot out of the wing like a dart. Past them. He went fuck you guys. He went past the nerds, beat it nerd, and then went straight at Anthony Bowens, like tackled him. There's a couple of times where like he's a beast, Cash Wheeler, absolute beast. A few times you see it, like when we watch that segment, where he like kind of just breaks through underneath, like just head first underneath a couple of the nerds and drives like single-handedly, like a rugby tackle, Bowens or Caster halfway up the stage and emerges with a baseball cap.
There was one of those nerds. He was involved in at least 2 or 3 pull aparts throughout the show, even towards the end of the night. If you watch him, he's kind of a heavier lad, and he's constantly smiling, like he's so happy to be there. You could see in his face, he couldn't keep a straight face at all. He was like, "Oh, look at me, I'm hugging Dax or whoever he was hugging." And it was the same backstage at the end of the show. Then he was hugging or pulling apart Tony Storm or Mariah May or whoever was, Hangman or something.
I wonder where this is going though.
I'm not sure they claimed. Are they turning heel again or
no? Because the claim beat the Bucks, but the Bucks haven't turned up to TV in weeks. So you're like, and obviously Hurricanes, whatnot, but like, what are they doing? They beat the Bucks clean when I was in Virginia on TV, 2-on-2. So you assume they're owed a tag team title shot. FTR owed a rematch with the Bucks, so that's 3-way. But 3-ways are shit. So who's the 4th team? Is it going to be a surprise Motor City Machine Guns at Wembley Stadium?
Or maybe Grizzled Young Veterans?
Nah.
Local talent? No.
I don't think they get the same pop. I think the way Motor City Machine Guns have been teasing WWE for about 6 months now. Teasing you, like, come on, we're going to WWE. We're telling you we're going to WWE.
I know. Like
you'd have gone to WWE by now. You'd have been on NXT by now.
Or would they have been gone to NXT, or were they main roster?
Yeah, I think that's what the inference was. Yeah, but I think it's like I don't know. I just think there's because like it started July. Like we're finishing up right now. Is our last show here.
Yeah, they had
so they're doing that in June, and then like you look at their bookings. Okay, they're booked through July, and then they start in July. Their shows, they're like, yeah, like this is it. This is the last one we're gonna have. Me and Saban having a singles match here. This is the last time you're gonna see us ever.
Yeah.
And then like the next day, you go on their Twitter and they got shows announced through the end of August, and you're like, yeah, like this could be the last time you ever get the chance to buy this in PWT store. We're never gonna have a PWT store again. People who are do you know what I mean? It's like
it's classic sales tactics, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I think it's
like the Harvey Norman sale that never ends.
I just think you're gonna see them all in now. It just occurred to me. I don't know. I think because people are talking about like Pac and Ray Phoenix and Penta are due to be the 4th team for the trios match. It just occurred to me like it'd probably be 4 teams for the tag titles actually. I think that would make more sense. So it's I just think there's a surprise spot in there.
Well, it's a way to get more people on the card as well. If there's going to be a 3-way for the trios, seems that way after what Christian said. The Bang Bang and the House of Black are having a number 1 contenders on Collision this week, and the winners get to face them at All In. So presuming there's going to be shenanigans there. We're actually going to get involved and cause trio, a 3-way for the titles, and accidentally get themselves, outnumbered. But what did you think of Mama Win being crowned?
What did you say again?
She was crowned. Like he didn't give Luchasaurus or fucking the title on Collision. He gave it to Mama Win. Like so, technically she's the champion. So if they defend the titles at all, and obviously she's not going to be.
It must be so embarrassing for Nick Wayne to bring his mum around everywhere. Like, is it because he's not 21 yet?
He's not. He's only 18. 19?
Yeah, 19 now, whatever. Yeah, I mean, like, this is a bit weird. Like, it is a bit weird.
And it was weird at the start.
Like, she's
I
not
know
going
he
to
was
turn out a paycheck.
underage.
Like, it's going to be on TV and stuff. It'd be pretty cool for her. But I mean, like, for him, it must be like, shit, my mum's here.
He can't do anything.
Sorry, lads. Can't commit tonight, lads. My mum's here.
Can't do anything.
You're traveling the world as like rock star lifestyle. Yeah, sorry, I'm with my mum. I mean, like, listen, it's just, it's no at 18. Like, I'd be out chasing pints and women, and do you know what I mean? Like, whereas Nick Wayne's probably being a good boy and going to bed early, you know, which is a lovely lifestyle. Like, I enjoy it myself nowadays.
You're missing the point there, but his mother isn't underage. You know, she can go out and have a good time when he's gone to bed. There's nothing stopping her going out and having a good time.
Listen, she might lock Nick in the room. Yeah. But anyway, so back to the original point. Yeah, like, I think this kill switch Luchasaurus thing, like, just get rid of his fucking mask. Just get rid of it.
You've been asking for it. They're not going to do it.
It's just stupid. It's just shit. And he's shit. He's boring. He's a prick. Fucking get rid of him. Crap. He's a knob. Voldemort Cabray doesn't like him, so I don't like him.
Well, there you go. If he says it.
He slaps his legs too much. He slaps his thighs constantly. No, I don't like him. He's a thigh slapper.
Slapping his horns.
No, he's kick. Anytime he throws a kick, slap.
Everybody does that.
I know, but he's like 6'5". Stop fucking doing these shit kicks. Just fucking take somebody's head off. Fight like a man. But dinosaurs don't slap their legs.
He's a lucha. He doesn't do normal.
No, he's a light switch now. He's a fucking trigger on a.
He's a finishing move. He's a finishing move. He's Christian's finishing move. That's all he is.
He's a light switch, fucking kill switch, whatever you do for like a fucking 4th class young scientist project.
They had a video package for Hologram as well. What did you think of him on Collision? He was teaming with Mystico.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a route for him as in a tag team with Mystico and get him more time on TV, or is he better singles? Or?
I think it was really cool for him on Collision. I think the Hologram is a really long project of Tony Khan's. It's the former Aramis from Triple A. Tony Khan had him lined up to start with AEW pre-COVID or just at the start of COVID.
Oh, really?
He was chatting about this in an interview the other day. This is a gimmick he's had in his mind for years and years and years. He wanted to do it. He had the same guy who wanted to do it because Aramis was about 18 at the time, very young, and then COVID parameters and traveling and whatnot kept being put in the back burner, and then more and more people joining AEW in different iterations and whatnot. He just kind of pulled the trigger on this year. No, it's really cool though. He's done very well. It's kind of like it's like a better version. Do you know what's funny? Sorry, Mystico, right? I was gonna say like it's a better version of Sin Cara, but like now he's tagging with Sin Cara. Like it's, do you know what I mean? Like he doesn't quite have the trampoline shit. Like
not yet.
No, but like he's not as like I don't think Aramis is as good as Commander, but he's still class. I think Commander is fucking unbelievable when he's allowed to be.
What's did he say something? Tony Khan say something on that interview about what exactly Hologram was supposed to be, or what he's planning him to be? Like there's some sort of technical.
I don't know. Maybe he's in the Judgment Day. I don't know.
No, but I mean, there's some sort of like the name Hologram is specific because like holograms are obviously like fucking not really there, like the way they do with the hologram concerts and stuff. He's supposed to have some sort of technical or some sort of.
No. I think it's weird. I have no idea. This is obviously something a gimmick he's created himself. Like he created the Acclaimed and all that kind of stuff. That's his name. That was a name he had for a tag team for years. Yeah, I think this is something he created in his own lucha vision. But I mean, like most lucha names, you're like, like Gravity when he's dressed as Buzz Lightyear and stuff. Like, what's he supposed to be? You're not actually an astronaut. Like you're not actually a hologram. Like it's just a name, and it just happens to have like.
He's just walking around backstage, just like.
I mean, like the Beast Mortos, like we know you're wearing a mask, like, you're not actually like a bull or whatever.
Like Orange Cassidy did it to him. He used his jacket.
I know, yeah.
They went after
it. It's same like hologram. Like it's I don't know. It's something really. It's supposed to probably similar to the Axiom thing. I think just from looking at it, like it seems to be kind of a similar idea, like just a futuristic luchador in a mask type thing.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what else to it, but it seems to be cool. I'm sure children will love it.
Probably. Then, did you watch the full sit down interview with Swerve and Jim
Swerve
Ross?
and Jim Ross? Yeah, I saw it. Like I saw the on Dynamite. Yeah, poor Jim Ross looks like in a terrible way, but he's had a terrible time. But yeah,
he has, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, so I say Swerve must have travelled down to him for that, which must have been tough getting to Jacksonville, is where I believe he lives.
Jim Ross does he?
Yeah, he bought a house there during COVID and seems to reside there now. So, and Tony Khan's been brilliant at kind of keeping his word and renewing his contract while he's been unwell and stuff, and helping with health insurance and all these kind of different procedures and whatnot. So, very kind man. Yeah, I that was good. Like getting the Jim Ross rub is it is, yeah. And I think you almost feel like, because do you feel sorry for Swerve because maybe Jim Ross wasn't as eloquent as he could have been, and he's deeply unwell. But no, it was a really cool moment, and I think Swerve he's really established as a champion now. Like generally speaking, before the Jim Ross thing, like he feels like a champion now. He feels like a top guy. So yeah, Corey Brandon tweaked me.
There's not many people that get to sit down with Jim Ross in these type of interviews. Like over the years, like the people he sat down with and the Attitude Era, were the big names. Like
but like even when he sat down with like he did a number of sit downs in the first couple of years of the AEW, they're all brilliant. Like I remember vividly his sit down, like chairs facing each other with CM Punk and stuff. Before CM Punk tried to ruin AEW for everyone, destroyed the bastard. He did. But anyway, yeah, it's a cool rub for Swerve, obviously, and it's a nice kind of another building block towards All In. Yeah.
Hangman had a backstage interview as well, talking about
Renee Paquette, who is the wife of John Moxley.
But he plans to take everything off this person. He wants to take everything off this person, so he didn't mention who it was, but take Renee.
So I think it's everybody's like I think it's Moxley. I think that's where it's going. I think I said that a number of weeks ago. I was bored at night watching Dynamite because I was sleep deprived, and I thought, like, who needs sleep? I'll sleep deprive myself more. Watched Dynamite live, and there was stuff with Hangman, and because Hangman didn't beat Danielson, I was like, shit, what does he do now? The only thing that made sense to me in my head was possibly Mox, in terms of staying with being a heel and that kind of level of feud, of violence, was Moxley, if it's not going to be Swerve. And then, like, half an hour later, he was in a segment with Renee Paquette, and he was kind of rude to her backstage. And he was kind of forceful and rude with her again in this segment. So and people were like, no, it's going to be Okada. But to do that, he means Hangman has to turn face. Or
no, that wouldn't make sense.
Okada has to turn face. And like, neither that's going to happen. Neither should happen, because it's flip-flopping, and flip-flopping is always a bad idea. Consistency is important. You need to double down and establish people properly. So I think it's going to be Hangman versus Moxley over the next 2 weeks.
What about Jeff Jarrett? Because what happened backstage after
I think the last Outlaw is going to come out. You know what? I'm not as good as I once was, but I know a guy. I know he's a wild thing, and they'll do like an American type thing like that. They'll probably be like word for word that.
If only Moxley had that.
I know a guy, and you Sunshine, you're gonna pay. It's gonna be a real cliche, like Southern, and he's gonna point and he's gonna look at the camera. Yeah, and he's gonna do a lot of head nodding, and then behind him, Karen Jarrett's gonna be like,
he represents the BCC.
Yes, BCC. That's what they call it. Yes,
the BCC.
I made the BCC. Henry Sellers comes out. If anybody watching that understands that reference,
sack me.
Oh, to our non-Irish audience, God help us.
Yeah, I'm sure they've watched it from the big round. Yeah. Camille had a squash match with
two people, like
two
bugs.
people.
A couple of bugs squashed into oblivion.
Properly squashed.
Squashes are good.
Yeah.
And for more than anything, another that's at least 2 and a bit women's segment on the show, which is good. And then Mercedes Moné had a nice promo, and then she had a promo on camera after the show as well, where she calling Britt Baker problematic and stuff. What I really didn't like was when Britt Baker did her pre-packaged promo on screen, and she's talking about like, "Oh, you took your ball and went home." Like, where did she take her ball and went home from? WWE. So are you saying leaving WWE is a bad thing, Britt? Do you not think about what you're saying? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're in, like, how you're saying she's a coward for leaving WWE? So what's she supposed to do? Stay in WWE? If are you saying WWE is a good place to be? And I think people who leave WWE are cowards? Like, stupid. Really stupid wording. Thoughtless.
That was something she recorded herself from home when she was suspended, right?
But she was in the arena, apparently.
Was she?
Yeah.
I thought she was out for another week.
Apparently she got a dressing down from Bryan Danielson.
I
bet he's not angry. He was just disappointed.
It's worse. That's worse.
That's definitely what happened. Like, you know what?
And he called her Britt Baker to her face. He didn't just say Britt. He said, "Excuse me, Britt Baker." I'm really disappointed.
Excuse me, doctor. Yes.
Doctor.
I just thought that was thoughtless in terms of you're talking about on one of the headline feuds for AEW All In, and it's just cheap, lazy verbiage. Like, that's kind of WWE-esque. Like, you took your ball and went home. Like, that's just been used a million times over and over since one person coined it when Steve Austin had a falling out with WWE in 2002.
Yeah.
Never once used before that, ever. And then suddenly every 5 minutes, people use it in every possible context and every opportunity. And it's just lazy. And because you're calling somebody a child. And there's more than one way to call somebody a child.
Is Britt going to be happy losing to Mercedes at all and when it does happen? Because obviously she's not beating her.
Don't know. Well, maybe she can bury them after the match and see what happens. Maybe she can cause more shit. Maybe she'll probably sit backstage and start talking about how shit MJF and Will Ospreay's main event match will be. Cause more shit.
Is that main eventing?
No, but like she'll probably sit in the background and just slag everybody off.
Well, they get another 60-man minute.
And after being sent home for 18 months before that. Told to sit at home for 18 months until she grew up. So yeah.
She wasn't injured?
I didn't say that.
I don't know. I'm
not
in the know.
Yeah. Then she came back with a new attitude that lasted a couple of weeks.
A week? Was it a week? Was it even a week?
A couple of weeks, yeah.
Was it?
Until she caused trouble. So there you are. So apparently if you're not an AEW original there from day one, you're not as important. How old are you?
I don't know.
I was here first. No, I'm taller. But yeah, so listen, that'll people were bad mouthing saying that Mercedes Moné was going to be trouble and problematic, and she seems to have been nothing but helpful to everybody so far.
Yeah, she's aligned herself with the right people,
and she's got some big plans ahead for numerous other talents in the roster, which are very deserving as well. So, more kudos to her.
Yeah, good for Camille though. Anyway,
yeah, she's gonna keep doing what Jennifer Pepperman writes for everybody in WWE or wrote for everybody in WWE. She's gonna call them a bitch.
Oh no!
Yeah, eat it, bitch, and everybody's gonna be a bitch.
Speaking of bitches, Okada and Claudio are going to have a face-off next week on Dynamite. Yeah. So Claudio and Okada are right for All In. That's where they're going, right?
Right. See, somebody told me that Claudio was going to be at the CMLL Grand Prix at the same weekend as All In. Which I was like, okay. But he's also all over the poster for AEW Cardiff.
Yeah. Huh?
So I have in my head that he might headline the Cardiff show with Okada. Which is kind of I think it'd be class.
But that leaves Okada off All In then.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. Wow.
Unless they do it, I don't know. That's why I think it's going to go. I think Okada's Claudio deserve their own match at All In, but I think how many matches can fit in the card?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, many people can you get on the card, but
yeah,
how long is the show going to be? 5 hours.
Yeah, I think that.
Probably.
Yeah, I think the good thing. This is sound terrible now, but it's a good thing the amount of injuries AEW have. Because like last year, the amount of people who were just wasted being squashed into like 6-mans, and do you know what I mean? It just felt like, why do you have Hangman, Jay White, Kenny Omega, like so many others, Takeshita, all in like 6-mans? Like it's just things like that. You're like,
There was a lot of multi-man matches
like,
last year.
it felt like, look, you can see your favorite WWE superstar. Do you know what I mean? They felt like that, whereas now it feels like every match is important and has a legitimate gripe and storyline and consequences on the line. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it was their first, it was the biggest show ever in the history of wrestling, so they had to give everybody a payday, but this time now they don't have to worry about it because, they're not building it as the biggest show.
Yeah.
Biggest gate or biggest show of all time. So people who are coming to the show would have been there last year. They don't need to see everybody on the card now. So focus more on that. You mentioned Cardiff there. I just want to briefly touch on AEW. AEW, what's occurring? What's occurring in Cardiff?
We go to Cardiff.
Oh, go down the barries on the slides. AEW put out a tweet there about an hour ago. Michael Oku,
yes, the OJMO, my friend Mike. He was very kindly included me in his video package yesterday.
He did. Fair play. Enjoyed it. I saw our logo there as well. Both logos, Body Slams and
branding's working wonders. Yeah,
Brandon everywhere.
There you are.
So they actually put out a tweet that was basically his video package in response to MGF. So it was him and Amari on the video, which is cool. So presuming it looks like that we're going to get him.
Yeah, it was. I like the way that video package as well. He framed about the importance of this match is just as important as my match with Luke Jacobs that weekend All In. It's just as important the match I had in Crystal Palace with Will Ospreay. It's not the biggest match of my career as you may think it is. Like when I spoke with Michael Oko on this show, he said he was going to be at the Cardiff show. He said he'd been told he was going to be at the Cardiff show.
He didn't know what he was going to be doing.
No, I know exactly. But listen, he told me on this program he was going to be there. So which is brilliant for him. He was very transparent, very forthcoming. He wasn't keeping it in the back, which is I've seen some of his other interviews and it hasn't been the case. He'd be like, oh, I don't know. Whereas for us, he was like, yeah, well, listen, I speak with Chris Jericho regularly. Chris Jericho told me like, yeah, I'd 100% expect to see you on the Dynamite Collision show in Cardiff. Yeah. Definitely be on shows very, very soon. So I think
maybe that's a slot for him.
Sorry?
Maybe that would be a slot for him if they're going to have a...
So I thought initially, before that promo, I thought initially he was going to be possibly... I don't know if Stadium Stampede would make sense, but I think he'll have a match on Dynamite Collision with somebody. And I think he'll probably be in that gauntlet match on All In.
There's a lot of people tweeting,
Do you see Martin? You see what Martin was tweeting?
Who? Martin?
5 Marks Martin.
No.
He sent out a list.
Oh, he sent a list of
Irish talents. But I was like, Bone, these people deserve like Justy, Bonesaw Al. These should all they've slaved away, and like Corvin and Sammy D and Terry Thatcher. If they're not on the gauntlet match at All In, it's a disgrace. I love Martin. He's a great fan. He's a great lad. But I think
gotta shine a light on somebody. You never know.
I think you'll have Oku. I think that'll probably be it.
Really?
That's probably be it. Yeah.
Not like Doris or Robbie X or somebody maybe, or
no, Robbie X. No, we talked in depth about Robbie X over Europe Channel's platform over about Scrapmania in the past few days. He's also at the CMLL Grand Prix. Robbie X isn't ready for mainstream American television. He does the same thing. There's nothing between here. Just for one.
It's more of just a once-off.
I don't even think he's big enough star for it.
Yeah, but like for a once-off gauntlet match like that,
I don't think he's big enough.
Background characters, like
no,
you're coming in to do flippy-dippy stuff just to shine a light.
I think if anything, you'd get something like somebody with a bit of profile. Like you got Oku. Again, you could do Grado. You could do Simon Miller or something. That'd probably be it. Nobody else.
Grado. I'd love Grado to come out though.
I think Grado. I mean, that's it. But Grado's on the piss in Spain or something at the minute, based on his Instagram. So
he's always ready though.
Yes, I doubt it'd be great. I think it'll just be Michael Oak.
Yeah,
There's too many people in AEW. Sorry,
I know. Yeah.
No, like sorry. This I hate this kind of tokenism things you find around. Like, oh, he deserves it. What about the other people who travel the world and all over America with AEW on a weekly basis and appear on television? Are they suddenly going to sacrifice their hard work for a year to accommodate one person who does a couple of indie shows in the UK and Ireland? No, like people who are contracted deserve these spots more because they've been a part of the company. They've helped to build the company. Like, it's not about, you can have one or two, like Michael Oku wouldn't be a token gesture because he's somebody who appears in New Japan.
Oh, nice.
He's somebody who appears in the Jericho Cruise. He's somebody who does the CMLL. He gets presented as an absolute star and everything. This PWG, he's against MJF this weekend for Rev Pro. He's at that one of the best matches of all time with Will Ospreay earlier this year. There's 1,000,001 reasons why Michael Oku deserves it, and it has nothing to do with being British or token gesture. He deserves a spot regardless. I'm like, equality of outcome is a terrible thing, and that's a bigger conversation we could have. Equality of opportunity is what I am for.
It's not just fantasy booking. Not that ever happened. Anyway, the main event of Dynamite saw Danielson and Jarrett on an anything goes match with Ricky Steamboat on commentary. What did you think of the way they opened it up before they even got into the ring? Jarrett being his usual self and smashing Danielson with the guitar and them fucking fighting into the stands and stuff.
So about 12 months ago, I was getting lambasted online for regularly tweeting out how much I loved Jeff Jarrett and like I wanted him versus Kenny Omega.
I remember,
over a year, and like people were like, "Oh, I'm sick of him on my TV. Oh, he's the worst. He's so bad." And then he goes away for a while because younger heels started complaining about his TV time and how over he was getting, essentially. He was kept in the background doing like actual office work and whatnot. And then he comes back and he's just fits this brilliant role where he can do everything. And he's kind of like the gatekeeper of like law and order. And he's the sheriff like of goodness and virtue. And like, where I'm not having that, it is going to be done the proper way. And he's gonna set people right, and like, you know, this Hangman Page is probably gonna murder him and probably kill his kids or something. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's just Jeff Jarrett's awesome, and like I remember I was okay. Last February 2023, I was training with LJ Cleary, just doing a one-on-one session with him for like a couple of hours one afternoon in the ring, and he goes to me like, if you could pick any one wrestler in the world right now, who to wrestle, who would it be? And this is me, right? With a broken neck, numerous concussions, gammy hip, gammy back. And I said, Jeff Jarrett. And he looked at me as if I had 10 heads. And I'm like, no, like, you don't get it. Like, if you don't want Jeff Jarrett, like, you don't get wrestling. I want to like, do the woo, and I want to, like, do the, my name is Gordon Oliver, like, all that kind of shit. Alexander Timmons. Like, that'd have been perfect. But, like, LJ Cleary kind of left the gym, like, looking at me like, jeez, he's a fucking idiot. But anyway. Jeff Jarrett's the man.
Jeff Jarrett, I would jump at the chance.
I've been conversations with him personally since then as well. So he's, I'm delighted because, like, he's just fucking awesome. Between now and All In, I'm going to go back and watch, like, a load of TNA. Not like this modern Canadian TNA, which just isn't TNA. It's TNA in name and nothing else. TNA was something special. I refuse to accept the current iteration as TNA. It's a different company altogether. I'm going to watch like a backwards King of the Mountain match where everybody has to escape the ring. Do you know what I mean? Those mad TNA things where like, and then like the Brewu and it's magic. But anyway, to this opening match, the last Outlaw cracks a chair over Bryan Danielson's head. Right? Yes, the Ricky Steamboat. I just love him. Like he's probably you've got the four best wrestlers of all time are probably Bryan Danielson, Bret Hart, Terry Funk, Ricky Steamboat.
Technical wrestlers. Just your favorite, or just technical wrestlers?
Best, actual best. Like Ricky Steamboat, like he is the best. Like even like you see people, he's getting more and more appreciated these days, like because he's never done anything wrong. Like I think like even CM Punk was on ESPN recently, and he kind of named Ricky Steamboat is the best of all time, like without question. It's just even when he does stuff in ring now, when you see him come and do these AEW appearances with his chops and his body language and using his whole body with his arm drags or anything he does, it's just everything's perfect. It's just so easy and fluid and smooth.
One of my earliest memories. This is how old I am now.
You're pretty similar age to me.
19, not far off it. It was about 91, 92. I was watching WCW. Used to be on every Saturday
morning. How
old
were you in 92?
10 or 11 maybe.
I was born in February 92.
Well, I was watching WCW on a Saturday morning on ITV at home. Because we used to get the British channels because we were on the border. So I used to get to watch WCW every Saturday morning. That was my introduction to watching wrestling. And Ricky Steamboat had a match with.
That would have been proper wrestling then as well. That would have been so much better than WWF, I'd say.
Oh yeah, there was no WWF in our house back then. Like we couldn't get it. It was on Sky Sports, so you had to pay for subscription. So it was just free. It was perfect. Yeah. It was studio fucking set. I watched Ron Simmons beat Vader, like, at 10 years old. I was getting watched Sting and LJ Gante before he was Jen Gonzalez in WWF at the time, like, facing the Four Horsemen. But Ricky Steamboat beat Scott Steiner, who was part of the Steiner brothers at the time, not Big Papa Pump, for the TV title. And it was a classic match, and it was one of those moments that made me fall in love with wrestling. And I went off and found as much stuff out about Ricky Steamboat as I could find, and realized then that he had that match with Macho Man at WrestleMania 3 that I watched back about a week later when I went off.
Okay, so there's kind of like this WWE lore around that, like, because it's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, like, and it's kind of a branded thing, but like, is it the best? But like, there's so many things that he did in WCW, like throughout the 80s and stuff. If you go back watch Clash of the Champions shows, like, that are just 10 times better, I think, because Macho Man like scripted that Ricky Steamboat match from start to finish. Whereas like, Ricky Steamboat was never like a scripted wrestler when he's at his best. Like he feels the energy of the crowd. He can bring you up, he can bring you down. Whereas they talk about the Macho Man match where it was like a million different moves and they learned it off for weeks and weeks on end. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, that's fine. Like that's what a lot of wrestlers did. And they can imagine things and play things out in their head. And a lot of people do that nowadays. But Ricky Steamboat he was the consummate worker beforehand. So I think WWE obviously has revisionist history for everything. It's just like it's part of the being conglomerate as they are. But I think Ricky Steamboat, I think just his work prior, like when his run with Ric Flair and stuff, like he made Flair, like despite what other people may think. Like so, yeah. Corey. So yeah, I think Ricky Steamboat, whenever I see him on TV with AEW, he just feels so authentic and lovely and natural, and like he's just a decent guy, and he just can play his role so unbelievably well. Like his last ever match was 2022 against FTR in a 6-man tag.
Oh yeah.
So it's that's cool.
October 17th, 1992 is when the match when it aired. God knows when it was recorded, because they used to pre-tape 4 or 5 weeks in advance. So
yeah,
it was it was classic.
It was a brilliant. I think the storyline kind of setting up around it, and then do you see the exclusive backstage where Hangman beat the piss out of Jeff Jarrett?
I know,
he seems like just brush into Jeff Jarrett, and suddenly like, oh, you touched me, I'm gonna kill you now. So that makes me think that like the person Hangman was referring to isn't Jeff Jarrett, because he seems just to be walking by them. Jeff Jarrett's like, hey, and then he's like, I'm gonna beat you all up now for that. Then Tony Storm and Ryan May kind of up beside them. It was really cool. Small. You kind of wish that was on TV, but something similar is on TV afterwards. But it was really well done. I think the whole thing seems excellent. It's funny, right? Bryan Danielson was on a PR tour in the UK. He was doing like Talk Sport Radio, WWE Gorilla Position, and Virgin Media, and like WWE Gorilla Position is called WWE Gorilla Position. Right? So a lot of the questions like James Dello was asking, and I like James Dello, he's a nice guy. I really respect his content and stuff. But he was talking about everything was through like a WWE lens as well, and I kind of like, do you really think Darby Allin's safe, or like, all this kind of stuff? But kept asking, like, bringing it back to his WrestleMania moments and his his time in WWE and what does he think about Vince and would he come back to WWE? Load of these kind of things, and like none of it was about AEW All In. There's all these kind of, you're like, what are you doing? But they're all evidently people interviewing him who don't watch the product regularly. So there's a guy who was interviewing.
How did they get the interview? If they're focused on WWE, how did they get into with AEW?
PR teams, you don't know. But you kind of watching it. There's a guy called Meeks. You met him at Legend. I speak to him regularly. WrestleMania.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
best really Macho Man impression.
No, that's Skillet. That's a different.
Oh, Skillet. Sorry, yeah.
Really nice guy as well, and I chat to him regularly. Big helping hand and different things. It was James was doing the WWE co-opted questions, and then it passed to Meeks, and Meeks would ask something specific, like talk about his match with Revolution and with MJF, and talk about his injuries and all this kind of stuff. Like something, it was like, I watch the product, I understand what's going on, I watch wrestling. Okay, you just do your given and questions you've been told to do by a different company, right? Do you know, it was such a hilarious contrast. But it was funny, all these interviews were presenting Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whatever they wanted to call him. They kept mixing his names up as well. They kept presenting him as like, well, this is it. This is going to be your last match. And I'm like, you don't watch the fucking program. It's not his last match. Yeah. Like, it's not it. Like, yeah, well, if like this is it. Like, and it's they were getting the dates wrong and stuff. Like, yeah, this Saturday at All In. And I'm like, it's 3 weeks away. Like, Jesus. So I felt like people were kind of tipped off to ruin the interviews and stuff. But yeah, like it's a funny one. It was just very apparent that they don't necessarily watch the interviews, and they actually believe that potentially could be his last match, which I just found hilarious. But anyway, Bryan Danielson is going to win the world title, and because Tony Khan probably has kidnapped his children, as he should have done many years ago, just made him win all the belts. From the outside of that contract, those children should have been like put in a cage. Just Bryan, you're winning everything. You get your kids back.
Who's going to dethrone? Who's taking the title off him? Is it Swerve getting the second run?
So yeah. So one of the things he talked about in one of his interviews was like the importance of, the importance of having another Seattle guy. Who's the next Washington guy?
Darby.
Swerve.
Darby. Come on, Darby.
The same. Well, Swerve is the Washington guy, right? And how important it is to have somebody that's going to take over from him. So I think Bryan's going to win it. All In. Then they're going to go to All Out in a couple of weeks. And I think Bryan might face Darby there. I think just might face Darby, or he may at some point between then he'll face Darby, and then a Wrestle Dream, he'll drop the title to Swerve, and that'll be his last match. That's the way I see it. He'll finish the Tacoma Dome, Washington, with 20,000 people watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the way I foresee it all playing out. Yeah, I think at this stage I'm firm in my views that Bryan Danielson will win it All In, and it'll be a beautiful moment, and I'll cry.
Cry. Yeah, as Johnny Cash would say.
Cry. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful life for a wonderful man.
I'm going to cry because it's way past my bedtime here in Ireland. It is almost 11:30 in the PM, and I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym. So we're going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for joining us in this episode of All Elite Weekly. We will be back next week, hopefully, around the same time, give or take. Mark has a few interviews on the channels now as we speak. Bishop Khan, member of Gates and Cage of Agony / whatever you want to call it. Really fun interview. Really nice to see, hear some stories, how he got into wrestling, some of his frustrations with not being on TV a lot, and what he thinks of the tag team division in AEW. Have you anything else coming up there, Mark, or anything else?
We had an interview with Andy Quilden recorded yesterday. That'll be going live tomorrow. I had a call with Ace Steele from TNA tomorrow as well. I was meant to have a call with Matt Raywall today, but I think he's unwell at the minute. He had shingles, I think. So I've got a few things lined up for next week, so everything's going well. Cool.
We will be we check out all our on Irish Wrestling, our own channel. You can check out all our Scrapper Mania if you're interested in OTT. If you're watching this and you watch OTT or interested in Irish Wrestling, they are having their annual Scrapper Mania event this weekend. Friday in Wolverhampton, Saturday in
I
Dublin.
have a last minute prediction for this.
Go for it.
I reckon that Will Ospreay will appear at Scrapmania on Saturday.
You think?
Yeah.
And MGF?
No, just Will. I think MJF will. I think Will appear at Rev Pro on Sunday, and I've just got a feeling that when his last appearance in OTT, he was begging Joe publicly to let him appear at a stadium show, and that the stadium show for Slammiversary or for Scrapmania rather had moved from April to August a couple of weeks before All In. So I'm just saying, I think.
And does he wrestle or is he just saying hello?
Maybe he comes out and he's the fourth member of Barry's team or something. I don't know.
We'll see what
happens.
Anyway,
that's my last minute Scrapmania prediction, and Colin poo-pooed it. Like, there's no point in bringing him in unless we're building to a feud for him. I'm like, shut up. Anyway, listen, thank you very much, Jerry, for leading us as always this evening, and thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. We're now over 195 people watching this evening. It was absolutely brilliant. Hopefully there's not too many Irish nocturnal people, and this is more of a global audience who've got to learn some machinations and some strange views from a man living down the depths and darkness of Cork and County Ireland.
Conor Tattoo, Slán na Bhaile.
Slán na Bhaile. Ihawa.
Adios.